and March 25th at Mooresville Walmart, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's our way of saying thanks. Learn more at rideicats.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Thrive Here Live in Huntersville. I am Commissioner Edwin Quarles, and we have a show for you today. Today we have two special guests that I just couldn't wait to get them on the show today. There are two individuals that are part of organizations that work with children that stimulate the growth of our young people. We have Dr. Nikki Hill with Discovery Place, as well as Mr. Eric Boruff with North Carolina Youth Commission. So again, I'm Commissioner Edwin Quarles, and welcome. Dr. Hill and Eric, you guys, I've gotten to know you for some time now. You're always smiling when I see you. I'm going to start off with you, Eric. Here's a trivia question.
Oh man, it's early. I think I need more coffee.
What kind of socks do I have on?
Oh no. Could I venture and guess something, the color green?
I'll give you some credit for that.
I mean, it is St. Patrick's Day.
But they are Discovery Place socks.
I could have told you that. I would have known that one. That's right.
Oh, man, that is too cool. But anyway, again, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited, and I'm pretty sure our listeners out there would be very pleased to learn about Discovery Place as well as North Carolina Youth Commission. Eric, if you'd be so kind, I've noticed your shirt.
Yes.
It's got something different on it.
That's right.
Please give us a little bit about your shirt and what it used to be, or just tell us about North Carolina Youth Commission.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Eric Boruff. I'm the executive director of the North Carolina Youth Orchestra. And yes, we did just rebrand just about a month or so ago. We used to be called the Cornelius Youth Orchestra, and our organization was founded in 2006. And in the last several years, we've just seen such a great response from our community, and so many kids interested in music and taking their musical abilities, and many of them starting it for the first time and then taking it to the next level. We decided that we wanted to grow beyond just right here at home. We wanted to continue to focus on providing this opportunity for our students right here in our own neighborhood. But then also there's a need for this, and people were coming to us from very, very far distances. Right now, just in our current enrollment, we have over 7 different counties represented. So clearly there's a need. And so we thought that maybe this is the right path forward to kind of grow, move forward, and provide this opportunity to more students and families right here in our hometown and home region of Lake Norman, but also in our home state, the best state, North Carolina.
That is too cool. Well, Dr. Hill, you've been around museums for quite some time. You've been here in North Carolina, with Discovery Place Kids for a short period of time. Give us a little bit about Dr. Hill and Discovery Place and how you all engage in the Huntersville community.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Quarles. I've been in the Discovery Place community now for almost 2 years, and I have had the opportunity to work in children's museums for the majority of my career. I was a kindergarten teacher whenever I first started, and so it kind of was natural to go on into children's museum field. Children's museums are just a very different type of learning environment, a learning structure, and coming out of the classroom, it was obvious that places like Discovery Place and any other children's museum or interactive facility, and it helps support the educational attainment of kids and of families. And so it was a natural thing to go into children's museums. What brought me to Discovery Place was just the sheer excellence of that organization and how they reach and stimulate young minds and can go from birth to grave, with anything that we do. And so the 2 years that I've been working with them, I've greatly worked in the Huntersville community to really stimulate and grow that community and make sure that Discovery Place Kids is in the community and working for the community. So that's brought me a lot of pleasure over the last 2 years.
That is really good. Are you guys, word on the street is some type of expansion, and you want to do something different to help the stimulation of the children's learning? If so, what is that?
Well, and I knew he was going to come right out and talk about that because that's one of the biggest things that's happening over here in our Discovery Place Kids Huntersville locations. We went to the town and had a great meeting and talked to them about how we want to reinvest in our facility in Huntersville. We are seeking to. We're actually involved in it right now. We went through concept design and trying to identify what those things were for the community. What did they want to see? What has not worked in the past over 14 years? We're coming on our 15th birthday here in Huntersville. And so it's just time for renovation and time to bring some of the fun, exciting components that the kids want to see inside the facility. We're hoping that all of that will take place in fall 26 or early spring 27. Construction, planning, fabricating, all of those things take a lot of time. And as soon as you say we're getting ready to renovate, it's like, is it going to open tomorrow? And, it takes a little more time than that. But we're looking to bring a lot of STEM education into this space, climate, different things that are really, top of mind right now in our educational realm of possibility.
Sounds like a success story. So, Eric, I would ask you then, what are some of the success stories from children and students at the North Carolina Youth Orchestra, past and present?
It's awesome to hear all of the wonderful things you're doing at Discovery Place, and it's so cool to have a spot in our community where kids can go and just explore. What a wonderful space, and it's an awesome thing. We try to provide something kind of similar. I think there's a lot of alignment there. As far as musical experience is concerned, for kids to be able to explore and discover and really expand what their capabilities are, learn new things. And it's been really incredible, Edwin, you mentioned some of those success stories, to see some students go through that process of not knowing how to play an instrument at all. What is this noisemaker in my hand? I really want to try this, but how do you do this? And then to learn how to make a sound, and then to play a few notes, and maybe I can do this. Maybe I can be a musician. Maybe I am a musician. And it's been really incredible. So we have a few students that I can think of. I mean, I could tell you stories all day, but a few students I'd like to highlight. We had a student named Kaylee, and her older brother played the trumpet in our orchestra several years ago and then graduated, and she just hadn't quite found her thing, to call her own just yet. And so she decided to pick up an instrument and give it a try, and it was the flute for her. And she started with one of our beginning classes, never played a day in her life, and just within about a year's time, she has progressed and now advanced into our advanced woodwind group, where she can participate at a high level with some of her peers and perform. And that's just one story. I mean, I could tell you others, but Kaylee's an incredible student, and we're grateful to offer an incredible program here for our students and families in this area, because that opportunity is available to anybody.
Well, that is awesome. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We need to pay some bills here.
Yeah.
So give us a few seconds here. You're in Radio Land. We'll be right back with Thrive here live in Huntersville.
Sit tight. We'll be back with more after this on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Well, thankfully, drier air is making a return. Cooler air making a return now as we kick off a brand new work week. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. Don't forget to wear your green. Temperatures are warming into the low to mid-60s. Our sunshine back, so a cooler day nonetheless, but we'll really start to rebound heading into tomorrow. The best days of the week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Mid-70s Tuesday. Good chance to get back near 80 by Wednesday. That's your forecast. From the WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The app with Lake Norman deals. The WSIC app is out now, wherever you get your apps.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. The Bet on Us Casino Night Fundraiser Gala is almost here. This black tie event, co-hosted by Absolute Hope Foundation and Hope House Foundation of Huntersville, supports local families in need. Join us for an unforgettable evening and learn how these organizations are making a difference in the community. Visit AbsoluteHopeFoundation.com for details. Thursday, March 20th is Ladies' Night at Bin 110 in Cornelius. Lake Norman Woman Magazine welcomes in the community for an evening of making new friends and catching up with your existing ones. Come on out for Ladies' Night this Thursday at Bin 110. Saturday night, the 500 Club in Statesville presents live music with Darren Deese. Deese is a Nashville recording artist who has been influenced by stars from Hank Williams Sr. to George Strait to Kenny Chesney. Enjoy live music at 6 p.m. Saturday at the 500 Club with a performance by country music artist Darren Deese. Come on out and meet the WSIC team on Saturday, March 29th at Snooze Mattress in Cornelius. We will be doing a Merlefest ticket giveaway, so stop by and sign up. We are looking forward to meeting you on Saturday, March 29th at Snooze Mattress in Cornelius from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Auto Fair presented by Camping World is back at Charlotte Motor Speedway Thursday, April 3rd through Saturday, April 5th. The show brings together the car community in a celebration of their shared passion for all things automotive. Don't miss the Heritage Invitational, where iconic cars from all eras are gathered for up-close viewing. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for Auto Fair tickets and more information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Merlefest 2025, presented by Window World, returns April 24th through the 27th in Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Hear the Avett Brothers, Bonnie Raitt, The Dead South, Watch House, Wyatt Floors, I'm With Her, Leftover Salmon, The Warren Treaty, The Steel Drivers, and many more. For tickets, visit merlefest.org.
Hey folks, you know Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville is known for the prices and selection, but I tell you what, you may not have known the distinction that this store received with Ford and Lincoln this year. We received the President's Award for 2023 for Ford for the 5th year in a row. We also received it for Lincoln for the first year, and I tell you, those awards don't come easily. It all boils down to taking care of the customers and having the vehicles you want in stock for you to buy.
All right, we're back with more on the Town of Huntersville on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Welcome back with Thrive Live here in Huntersville. I'm Commissioner Edwin Quarles, and today we have two special guests. We have Mr. Eric Boruff, and we have Dr. Nikki Hill. Eric is with North Carolina Youth Orchestra, and Dr. Hill is with the Discovery Place. Eric, the last segment you were talking about kids with no experience picking up an instrument and just learning to play and make their first sound. How could a child get involved? Do you offer scholarship opportunities?
Yeah. So I'll answer both of those questions because there's a couple layers there. So one of the things that we try to accomplish as an organization, and this is just the core of what we try to accomplish, is to provide a direct pathway of advancement for a student from day one to college. So if you don't know what instrument you want to play, if you haven't really thought about that just yet, come see us. We're not just an organization where you have to have experience to know how to play and you already have to be the best there is in order to come and get into our groups. Now, we do have some auditioned ensembles where we have high standards, and we try to push our kids in that direction. But also, we have a full pathway. So from day one, so we have what we call instrument discovery days. In the break, I was just talking about this with Nikki. And students can come and just experience all of the different instruments. We put 4 different big tables out, all of the orchestral instruments out there. And our faculty, which are primarily from the Charlotte Symphony Orchestra, are there to guide the students through the experience where they can try playing a horn or a trumpet, trombone, an oboe, clarinet, violin, cello, bass, all of these instruments, all the percussion instruments. And at each table, it's super fun experience for them. They get a stamp at each table. And then at the end, if they get all 4 stamps, then they get a candy bar as a prize. And we normally raffle off a grand prize, and it's a lot of fun. But all that to say, that's day one for a lot of kids. They are trying all these different instruments. They find the one that speaks to them. And then if they would like, they can participate in our classes and where they can take their musical journey. And if they wanted to learn the flute or the violin, they could then learn from one of the best in the area and develop their skills on a weekly basis. And then as we advance them, they have a direct pathway at our organization. So going from beginning classes all the way to intermediate performing ensembles to high level performing ensembles where it's competitive and auditioned. And so that's a full experience. Now, in regard to your question about scholarships, yes, we absolutely have scholarship funding available. One of the core tenets of how we provide this service to the community is accessibility. We don't turn any student away. So at the end of the day, everyone can participate in our organization.
Awesome.
We're very grateful to have a couple scholarship funds from very, very wonderful, generous people in the community, and then some supporters in the community as well. So they help make that opportunity available for people. And so for those, we do have a tuition that does keep the bills paid and the lights on, for those who are able to, but we don't believe in excluding anybody from this opportunity. And so every student that comes our way, we help them out.
Do you play an instrument?
I do play an instrument. I am a violinist, actually. That is my primary instrument. It is what I do. And on occasion here, you might find me performing in a few places in Charlotte. So be on the lookout.
Well, that was a loaded question because I've witnessed you play before, and you're very good.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
And that leads into a question for you, Dr. Hill. Because they have auditions and you have other opportunities for the kids so everyone can participate. How do you decide what exhibits and programs to create, and what factors influence those decisions?
Oh, that's a great question. So, just like Eric and what he was explaining, it's an opportunity for kids to understand what they like, what they don't like, how they interact with things. And it's kind of the same thing. I mean, when we look at exhibits or interactives, we really focus on the kids and how they're learning, what capacities are they learning in. We can't look at something and just say, every child's going to learn from this experience, because they're not. And just like they're not going to like the saxophone, but they might like percussion because they can, they like it in the hands versus, I'm making this up with the music stuff. You're here, but it's kind of the same thing where we try to integrate all types of learning within our kids' areas. When we go off and try to identify what those new exhibits are, we go out and we do community focus groups. We talk to the children. We look at the education and what's developmentally appropriate. We want to make sure that we're getting every type of learner. And so within those exhibit components, we make sure that we're looking at social emotional development and learning and using any type of concepts or concept development. And so, we really try to engage the whole child. It's not about just one component of the child. STEM is so important. We all know that. The kids have to know how to read and count. And so all of those things go into us identifying what those exhibit components would be. Even with the programs and what we provide with those things, it's kind of, we're trying to hone in on what the ideas are that the kids have, and the parents and the families, they want to be engaged in that as well.
Well, you touched on education, so I'm going to ask you, what role do you believe children's museums play in early childhood education, and how does Discovery Place Kids Huntersville embody that mission?
So I come from a very small town in South Carolina. I don't know if you're familiar with Hartsville, home of Coker College and Sunoco, and a lot of great things. But what they didn't have, and I will not age myself, was a children's museum or anything like that. And so when I went to, I was a teacher, and I took my students, my kindergarten class, to a children's museum in Columbia. And I walked in, and it was the most fascinating, exciting place that I could have ever seen, other than, a Disney World, of course. But for a lot of kids and a lot of families, kids don't go to Disney World. They don't have that experience. And so when I walked into that space and I was immersed in all of this educational opportunity, and it was fun and it was exciting, and it was founded on play, and play is kind of the dirty word sometimes, where we don't want to pay for our kids to play, but you have to. That's what starts our educational attainment, right? Is kids learning how to play, how to engage, how to be one with someone else, to learn and identify what they like and don't like. But that was kind of my sense of a children's museum is exactly what it's supposed to be. It brings kids in. It's their own space. It's their own world. You don't have to tell them what to do. You don't have to tell them how to involve in it. But they learn from that. They learn from us every time they see us pay a bill or go to the grocery store. And if you go into a children's museum and watch kids, they're doing exactly what you do. So you have to be careful about what you're doing in front of your kids. But Discovery Place is all about that. It's all about immersive exploration and making sure that kids feel like, the museums are theirs and they own it and it's about them and it's their little world, and that's what we aim to do every day.
You mentioned South Carolina. Is your hometown far from Sumter, South Carolina?
So I'm only at home probably about 45 minutes to Sumter.
Okay.
Yeah, not far.
Yeah, that was my last Air Force assignment. I was
Okay.
stationed at Shaw Air Force Base in Sumter, South Carolina. That's when I
Yes.
first saw a pig being roasted. I saw orange barbecue sauce. So I really,
These are like primary and vital life experiences
Absolutely.
here in the Carolinas.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
something to experience, man. I even played baseball there. They
Hey.
had an adult baseball team, not softball.
Okay.
Baseball. I'll never forget. My roommate was telling his friends, "Man, my roommate, his name is Q. That's a hard throwing left-hander there." So I get in my first game, and every pitch I threw went over the fence.
Nice.
I am serious. Those guys were so good. Some of them played semi-pro baseball.
Wow.
But those country boys really ended my career.
In baseball.
Yes, yes. But speaking of South Carolina, who is the most inspirational person in your life?
Oh man. That all goes back to my grandmother. I lived with my grandmother and my grandfather in South Carolina, and I was raised by them, and of course with my other part of my village, the aunts, the uncles, all of that. But she took me in. I was 4 months old, and she was in her 70s, and she was given this little girl to raise, and that lady, for the entirety of her life, for 33 years of mine, she was the absolute best cheerleader anyone could have ever had. Just inspiring me to continue to go, and I could do whatever I wanted to do, no matter where I was from or what my zip code was. That was always something that she would instill in me. I try to embody her in everything that I do. And so I always say that, any education that I've been able to accomplish, or any good in the world that I've been able to accomplish, is because of her, with how she raised me and what morals and values she gave me to work to make sure that everyone else has if I don't.
That sounds like my grandmother. When she passed, you would have thought the president had just deceased. That lady had the utmost respect in the neighborhood. My grandmother also was an inspiration to me. Ironic that you say your grandmother was the most inspirational person to you. I just love her dearly. I think about her so much. And a lot of my ways, I act like an old person because my grandmother basically raised me.
That's
She
right.
was the one that taught me a lot of values. And I salute her. And by you saying that, I have goosebumps now thinking about my grandmother. But what we're going to do, we're going to go back and take another quick break. We'll come right back shortly at Thrive here in Huntersville. So again, I'm Commissioner Edwin Quarles, and I thank so much for my special guest, and we'll be right back.
Sit tight. We'll be back with more after this on WSIC 1059 100.7 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Well, thankfully, drier air is making a return. Cooler air making a return now as we kick off a brand new work week. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. Don't forget to wear your green. Temperatures are warming into the low to mid-60s. Our sunshine back, so a cooler day nonetheless, but we'll really start to rebound heading into tomorrow. The best days of the week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Mid-70s Tuesday. Good chance to get back near 80 by Wednesday. That's your forecast. From the WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi, this is Andy with Lake Mountain Coffee, located at 110 West Broad Street in Statesville. Many of you probably know us from our large coffee house downtown, but did you know we're also the owners of Statesville's first and only coffee roasting facility? We purchase coffee beans from around the world, bring them right here to Statesville, roast them in our facility for our customers around the region. Why would you go to a grocery store, purchase old coffee beans off the shelf, or any other source where you can have fresh roasted beans at Lake Mountain Coffee, 131 West Broad Street in Statesville?
Johnson's Parts and Supply, your Auto Plus auto parts store, carries Wagner brakes as well as gates, belts, and hoses. They also make their own hydraulic hoses. Johnson's Auto Parts, your Auto Plus auto parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
Craving a taste of Italy? At Palmadora's, we serve up scratch-made comfort with every bite. From our hand-tossed pizzas to classic pasta dishes, it's the perfect place to gather your family or just treat yourself. Visit palmadoras.com for menus and hours. Your table's waiting.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Harrison's is the home of Work Western, and wow! For nearly 30 years, our family has been boots on the ground when it comes to work. We have the largest selection of in-stock boots in the Carolinas and the best workwear brands like Harriet, Carhartt, and Wrangler. Find us on Norman Station Boulevard in Mooresville.
Home of the best talk.
WSIC. Local starts here.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Welcome to the Pepsi family. Poppy. Confirming Bloomberg reporting, PepsiCo has struck a deal to purchase healthier soda brand Poppy for $1.95 billion. Poppy is among the small group of newer beverage brands the industry calls functional sodas, containing ingredients such as fiber, probiotics, and far less sugar, and whose sales have spiked over the past couple of years. It comes as Pepsi looks to keep expanding into healthier drink and snack offerings. Recent reports have shown that the collective U.S. consumer mood is darkening as tariffs, both real and threatened, drive up inflation fear. Today we have a fresh reading of U.S. consumer spending, and it shows a pullback, at least from what economists thought we would be doing. Sales increased 0.2% last month. That's below forecasts and follows a downwardly revised sales reading from the month before. Wall Street is starting the new week in a direction not too often seen over the past 3 weeks. Higher so far. Dow up 0.5%, same with the S&P 500. NASDAQ right now gaining 0.25%. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Nothing but the best talk.
The area's best talk.
WSIC.
All right, we're back with more from the Town of Huntersville on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Welcome back to Thrive Here Live in Huntersville. I'm Commissioner Edwin Quarles, and today we have two special guests. We have Dr. Nikki here with Discovery Place, and we have Mr. Eric Boruff with North Carolina Youth Commission. Wanted to bring these two guests on today because they're with organizations that are so powerful and impactful in our community. Great nonprofit organizations that work with the stimulation of kids' growth and learning and development. It is so important that we start from the beginning. The mind is a terrible thing to waste, and what you all do really builds for our future that we can have valuable assets in our society. Huntersville is a great place. That's why we have the tagline called Thrive Here. We want to make sure that we can keep our young people here and continue to bring more people to Huntersville. I learned in a meeting on this past Friday that North Carolina is the fourth fastest growing state in the country.
Incredible.
And with that, our officials, the state leaders, they're not satisfied with Huntersville being the top four. They want to be number one. So what they're doing is they're going to offer zero corporate tax as well as lower personal property taxes. So the zero corporate tax will lure in more businesses. The lower property tax will bring in more people. So more people, more children. And the more children, the more we need your services. So again, I thank you both for what you do. It means a lot. You're very impactful. You're very passionate for what you do. And it really means a lot. And people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And that's why I'm so happy to be able to have you two on this show today, because it means a lot. But Eric, I have a question for you is, how can listeners support the work of the North Carolina Youth Orchestra?
You know, the first thing I always say is come to a concert. if you can come to a concert and see our kids in action, you'll be impressed and you'll enjoy seeing the full gambit, because most of our concerts, we have a combination of some of like more beginner groups, and then we have our more advanced groups as well. So you're going to be able to see and hear and experience that pathway I was talking about of, be more beginner, and then all the way to where the students can develop further. And so the first thing I would say to a listener that's interested in the work of the North Carolina Youth Orchestra, formerly the Cornelius Youth Orchestras, is come to a concert. And you can check out our concert schedule at our website, ncyo.com/tickets. Or you could just visit our website, and the button's right there at the top of the page, so you can take a look at it. The next thing I would say is we would not be able to do what we do without the support of volunteers in our community. Our organization thrives on volunteers. We absolutely must have volunteers that help us out with a variety of things, manning and staffing concerts, rehearsals, just making sure that facilities are managed properly, students are supervised, all of those things. Our community events, we put out concerts in the community, and, sometimes we'll perform at the Symphony in the Park. They have some of our kids there. We have various events and opportunities like that. And so, like I mentioned, instrument discovery days, being a part of that and making sure kids are checked in and make sure kids get their candy bars. That's like the most important thing. And so all of those are areas where we rely on volunteers. And so if you want to come to a concert, that's great. If you want to do even more, volunteer with us. And you can visit our website for that as well, ncyo.com/volunteer. The last thing I will say about that is we do accept financial donations, and we would not be able to offer the accessible programs with a policy of no student turned away without the financial support of those in our community. That's a massive deal for us. It's a difference maker. We could not do it without our supporters in the community, whether it's somebody who's donating $5 or somebody that's donating something with a couple zeros at the end of it. All of that is critical to what we do, and we are so appreciative of the wonderful community of supporters we have here in the Lake Norman area and beyond. That make that possible. And so we have a couple different options for people that are interested in supporting us. If you visit our website, our support page, some people who prefer to support on a monthly schedule or make a one-time donation. We also have a wish list of just little things that we need. Whether it's a new banner or, some new supplies for, printing or things like that people would, if they're interested in just chipping in a little bit, all of that information is on our website, ncyo.com/support-us.
Well, that's awesome. Well, speaking of support, Dr. Hill, question for you is, if there are some challenges for people who can't afford to participate or visit Discovery Place Kids, what strategies does your museum use to reach children from underserved communities, and how do you measure success of those efforts?
That is probably one of the most important questions there, is because, Eric, we totally understand where you're coming from too. That making sure that children and families have access to any of the programs and offerings that we provide, that is one of the most important components of what we do. We currently have what's called our Welcome Program, and families on WIC, SNAP, Medicaid, they received a greatly reduced admission cost of $3, and that's taken, $15 off of your admission price. To us, that is crucial, because we know that all kids deserve the right to participate in any learning opportunity, anything that's going to better them, and even motivate them into making great opportunities for themselves as they grow older. Through that program, we have seen thousands and thousands of kids come through our doors every single year. And that's what impacts us the most, because we know that families and children, they want to have the opportunity. They want to experience those things. And if you've got to choose between purchasing a prescription or paying your light bill and having fun at Discovery Place, we want you to be able to do all of that. And a lot of us, we don't think about those things. We don't understand those things. Right. Fundraising is a huge part of what we do as well. We cannot open those doors without the support of others. And that's, our local support, grants, opportunities, partnerships. I think, Eric and I are going to have a great partnership after this when we can bring kids into the building
Match made, huh?
That's right, and understand what musical instruments that they want to perform and what they play. I was saying earlier that I played the flute. How about I tried out for the flute? They gave me one, and I did play it throughout class.
Hey, that's great.
But only because I wanted to be a color guard and marching band. And so but there are so many talented kids out here, and we want to help find that talent as well. And so I think those partnerships, bringing folks into the building where kids can see what else is out there, providing that to parents, we should be a resource for our children and our families, and that's what we want to be for Huntersville.
Well, I'm glad you say a partnership because we all know that everything in life is built on relationships. Whether it's good or bad, it's built on relationship. And if you don't have that, you have nothing. Another question for you, Dr. Hill, is how do you engage parents and caregivers in the learning process, ensuring that the museum extends beyond their visit?
So I have to look at that as a question like that for myself as a parent. When we have a little downtime, and I remember my kids basically grew up in a children's museum because I was there all the time, and so therefore they were there all the time. And I can remember, them enjoying themselves and having a great time. And if I'm someplace else and not in a museum where I'm working, I find myself, doing stuff that I want to do too, like on my phone or sending an email. And my daughter once, when she was younger, she said, "Can you just play with us for a little while?" And they are the best teachers, right? Your kids, because they'll tell you whenever you're doing something or you should be doing something differently. And her saying that reminded me that sometimes we have to remind our parents and our caregivers to take those few moments whenever you're in a space like Discovery Place, because it's really easy for kids to go and enjoy and do anything, and you're like, they're safe, they're good, but we want you to participate in that learning and those opportunities. A lot of times we'll do the fun stuff with the sand and the paint and the handprints, and parents are like, yeah, do that at the museum, don't do that at home. But that's a great place to do it, is at the museum, and you have that opportunity. So we like to engage our parents and caregivers and providing opportunities to extend the learning at home and not just while they're at the museum.
Well, this is all falling right in place because if one didn't know, they would think that we had prepared questions or we rehearsed what we were about to say. But that just led into a question for you, Eric, is if a student doesn't know what instrument to play, what should they do? Because she said it starts at home. So I want to play an instrument, but give the child, what are the steps for that child to?
One of our goals is to answer that question for those that we can reach. We can't reach every single person out there in the whole world, but we're at least growing from Cornelius now to North Carolina, so we're moving in the right direction. But that's a core question. Okay, so one of the things that number one, look for inspiration in the places that are most accessible. So YouTube is a fantastic teacher. I call it YouTube University. I know a lot of people do. It's commonly called that. But look up different musical performances. Find something that's interesting to you. And then, if you find something that's interesting, then maybe that's an instrument you can explore. Now, I'm a little biased, but if you come see the North Carolina Youth Orchestra, we have some opportunities for you. And I think one of my all-time favorite events is our Instrument Discovery Days, where if you have that instrument or you have that question, you don't know what instrument you want to play, come see us. And we literally have all of them for you to try, and candy bars. So it's the best. And you get, not to downplay it at all, but you get world-class musicians who are graduates of Juilliard and some of the world's best music conservatories that get to show your students and your kids how to take their first step on their instrument. It's incredible.
Well, again, we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back. For those who are in Radio Land, just be patient. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Thrive Here live in Huntersville.
Sit tight. We'll be back with more after this on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Well, thankfully, drier air is making a return. Cooler air making a return now as we kick off a brand new work week. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. Don't forget to wear your green. Temperatures are warming into the low to mid 60s. Our sunshine back, so a cooler day nonetheless, but we'll really start to rebound heading into tomorrow. The best days of the week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Mid 70s Tuesday. Good chance to get back near 80 by Wednesday. That's your forecast. From the WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. The Bet on Us Casino Night Fundraiser Gala is almost here. This black tie event, co-hosted by Absolute Hope Foundation and Hope House Foundation of Huntersville, supports local families in need. Join us for an unforgettable evening and learn how these organizations are making a difference in the community. Visit AbsoluteHopeFoundation.com for details. Thursday, March 20th is Ladies' Night at Bin 110 in Cornelius. Lake Norman Woman Magazine welcomes in the community for an evening of making new friends and catching up with your existing ones. Come on out for Ladies' Night this Thursday at Bin 110. Saturday night, the 500 Club in Statesville presents live music with Darren Deese. Deese is a Nashville recording artist who has been influenced by stars from Hank Williams Sr. to George Strait to Kenny Chesney. Enjoy live music at 6 p.m. Saturday at the 500 Club with a performance by country music artist Darren Deese. Come on out and meet the WSIC team on Saturday, March 29th at Snooze Mattress in Cornelius. We will be doing a Merlefest ticket giveaway, so stop by and sign up. We are looking forward to meeting you on Saturday, March 29th at Snooze Mattress in Cornelius from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Auto Fair presented by Camping World is back at Charlotte Motor Speedway Thursday, April 3rd through Saturday, April 5th. The show brings together the car community in a celebration of their shared passion for all things automotive. Don't miss the Heritage Invitational, where iconic cars from all eras are gathered for up-close viewing. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for Auto Fair tickets and more information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Merlefest 2025, presented by Window World, returns April 24th through the 27th in Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Hear the Avett Brothers, Bonnie Raitt, The Dead South, Watch House, Wyatt Floors, I'm With Her, Leftover Salmon, The Warren Treaty, The Steel Drivers, and many more. For tickets, visit merlefest.org.
All right, we're back with more from the Town of Huntersville on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Welcome back with Thrive here live in Huntersville. I'm Commissioner Edwin Quarles, and I have two special guests here today. We have Dr. Nikki here with Discovery Place and Mr. Eric Boruff with North Carolina Youth Orchestra. Right before the break, we were talking about what should a child do to learn what instrument they wanted to play, and I went back to start thinking about when I wanted to play the saxophone. I was in elementary school, and my mom came home with a trumpet. And I cried. And that hurt her feelings. And I'm like, Mom, I want to play the saxophone. I thought it was the coolest thing was the saxophone. And I tried to learn how to play the trumpet, and then got to my middle school, and I started playing baritone. Got to high school, and I wanted to be in the marching band. But we needed a quarterback for our football team, for junior varsity.
Tough decisions.
Yes, it was. So I was in the marching band for one day.
Wow, oh, man.
And I went from starting quarterback to third string quarterback. Because we needed a wide receiver. So I started wide receiver. So it went from trumpet to, saxophone to wide receiver.
There you go.
Yes.
What a journey.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Dr. Hill, speaking of that, those are my life challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced as a chief learning officer, and how do you navigate them?
I think when I first started this work 20 plus years ago, and I sat around tables and listening to what were some of the concerns with kids and some of the learning goals and objectives, and how we needed to increase learning, for the next 20, 30 years. Those conversations are still the same today. No matter if it was 1999 or 2025, we still have the same needs. We still have the same challenges. Kids go through things every day that we don't even understand, in our current place where we are. And I think those continue to be struggles, and they continue to be the challenges. Learning trends change. Our children change, the focuses change, but education doesn't kind of change. It just kind of stays the way it is. And we have to make sure that we are evolving and expanding with our children. We have to make sure that we're talking to our kids and knowing what's going on with them and how are they learning, how are they absorbing content and information. The way of the world is kind of the challenge, right? Because you have to make sure that all kids have accessibility and have the opportunity to learn and experience those things. And I think, the biggest thing that we can do is to always stay and be advocates for our kids and our families. And I think that's part of what my real work is that I'm the advocate for the kids, and I'm an advocate for families and for education. Right here in the Huntersville area, we want to expand our youth development programs within our museum. Typically, our children's museum is 0 to 8, but we know that there's a lot of opportunity in the Huntersville, Cornelius, Lake Norman area to expand that age.
Correct.
So, just like talking about music and how do we continue that love of learning through music, how do we continue it, throughout our school and our education system? I feel like every child should experience a children's museum, and that's the type of learning they should have every single day, where we're not sitting at desk and chairs. And I'm not saying those are bad things. What I'm saying is offering the opportunity to do more and to experience more, and to continue to be advocates and to make sure that kids love learning throughout their whole lives.
And speaking of experience, had the opportunity to experience North Carolina Youth Orchestra several times at the Davidson Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, but also they performed at our very first Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration here in Huntersville, and it was amazing. It is something for everyone to experience, and I think once you do experience it, the parents would definitely want to get their children engaged. But speaking of experience on something, Eric, have you ever experienced playing with a professional or famous musician?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yes, I guess. Well, fame is a relative thing, I guess, right? Everyone is somebody could be famous and have a big audience, but then stop in at the gas station to pick up some gum, and the person doesn't know who they are. So, fame is definitely relative. I have had the opportunity to perform with some really fantastic musicians, and I think probably one of my favorites was this past year. I got to bring in a violinist who is a prize winner at a Queen Elizabeth competition and is a fantastic violinist. His name is William Hagan, and I got to bring him in for my studio. And actually, Edwin, you were there.
I was there.
That's right. I forgot about that. And he got to work with our students and just bringing in that next level of talent to expose the kids to that and to have them interact there was incredible. And it was a life-changing experience for most of them. And, I will say this, funny you mentioned that, because about a week ago I had a grandparent come up to me and say, "Thank you so much for that opportunity. That was incredible," and almost in tears. I've worked in the music business for 40 years, and that was the best concert I've been to. And anyway, at that concert, we had some students play, but Will also did play. And then I snuck in. I played one little number with him and played a few notes. But it was really fun to be
amazing.
able to. It was really fun to be able to do that.
You're such a modest guy.
I can tell that. Yeah.
We had a good time.
But I'm going to bounce back to you after this one
Sure.
question. But Dr. Hill, it's going to be the same question for both of you.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're going ladies first.
Let's do it.
Okay. Dr. Hill, what do you hope a child takes away from a visit to your museum even years later?
I hope that when kids walk into any museum, any children's museum, science center, wherever they go, that they identify things that's theirs. It's that love of learning. Once you get it, it can never be taken away from you. You said earlier, mine is a terrible thing to waste, and I think that is a huge thing that we used to hear whenever I was growing up all the time. Don't waste it. Don't waste your opportunity. We want kids to walk into these buildings and find their confidence, to find that this is who I am, and it's okay. This is good enough. I am good enough. I am better enough. I can learn anything I want to do. That's the biggest part, that you're confident in who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. that you love learning for the remainder of your life, and you find things that challenge you, motivate you, and keep you excited about those opportunities, and that you want to share those experiences, that you want to bring others with you. And so, if we can build the world where people want to learn and they want other people to learn and have those opportunities to learn, we can give it, give a fish the opportunity to learn how to fish instead of handing them the fish all the time. That is one of the biggest components for me is we teach them, we help shape them, and then they go off and they are able to do it for somebody else.
Yoga.
So that was fantastic.
Oh,
I enjoyed listening to that. I will say, I think one thing I hope that what we are doing as an organization is we are creating musicians, but then also we are creating music lovers.
Mm-hmm.
So those who can participate, and a lot of times in our community here, in communities across the country, adults that used to play can then find an adult community group that they can play with. They have community orchestras and still kind of keep that part of themselves going. One of the things that's fantastic and just fascinating about music, and it's different than a lot of other pursuits, is that you can do it for a lifetime. You can play a musical instrument for a lifetime. If you play sports, you got to retire. 30 is old. And so if you're playing a musical instrument, you're just getting started. It's never too late to start an instrument. I have students who come and see me, people who come and see me, and they're retired, and they go, well, I worked my whole career as a surgeon, or I worked my whole career, and I always wanted to do this, and now that I'm retired, let's do it. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to create the next generation of music lovers and the next generation of musicians. Yes, a lot of our kids are fantastic and really, really talented, and many of them are maybe even interested in pursuing a career as a musician. But those who aren't, that's no problem. That's not a failure in our books. Those who come to concerts and go to concerts and participate in their community and maybe share their passion for music to the next generation beyond them. The impact just totally spreads from one generation to the next, and that's what we look for in the impact for our work. And so it's a great opportunity to be able to offer for people. And if you're interested in finding more about our organization, I'd encourage you to check out our website. There's a lot of information there. Carve out 15 minutes and see if you can navigate through it and read about our programs, read about what we do. Again, that's the North Carolina Youth Orchestra, ncyo.com.
You mentioned share, and at one point in time we had the word partnership.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you two think that the two organizations can share and become partners? Because this is truly amazing. This interview or this radio set is top notch, man. I'm really having a great time today because it's two powerful organizations.
Yeah.
Again, I stay with the word stimulate and development of our youth. And I just want to know, or the listening audience would like to know, what are some ways that you guys can partner to make a stronger Huntersville?
I think the biggest thing is we have so much alignment in what we're trying to do, and that is to provide opportunity for children. And I think the word it's the collaboration is in the word discovery.
Mm-hmm.
You have Discovery Place,
Nice. I like
and we have
that.
Instrument Discovery Day. And I think that there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were just talking in the break about a couple of different ideas, but I really truly believe this idea of providing young children that opportunity to explore and discover a variety of things, whether it's a musical instrument or a new exhibit at a museum, something that just sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
I had that experience as a kid, in elementary school, going on a field trip to a local museum. And, it's like, first of all, being on a field trip, cool. But then also to be able to just be inspired in just the eyes wide open experience. It's incredible. And we try to do the same thing, but with ears wide open, and that opportunity for children. But I'm excited to see where Discovery Place and the North Carolina Youth Orchestra can work together. And thank you, Commissioner Quarles, for making this happen today.
Absolutely.
You're so welcome. I thank both of you guys for being here. I'm pretty sure our listening audience is very excited. But this is going to end our show. Thrive here live in Huntersville. It was truly amazing to have you on this show today as our special guest.